Good morning, sixth grade scientists. Welcome to your asynchronous lesson. Today we are going to be doing lesson 210, the sedimentary rocks. Okay, so I'm going to walk you through this PowerPoint and then you will be able to go through it again on your own if you'd like, and you'll be able to watch your videos on your own, but I wanted to just make this so that you didn't have to go through it all by yourself, so that you still had me to walk you through. Okay, so take a look at the bell. Igneous rocks are formed by fire and are either intrusive or extrusive. Think about this. Is this true or false? I'm sure you can see the answer in the notes section, but you're not supposed to be looking there. It is true. True. How are they formed by fire? Think about that for a minute. How are they formed by fire? What do you think? Is it maybe the lava, the magma? Think about that, and we'll talk about exactly why and how they are formed by fire when I see you again in class. We'll review those igneous rocks. But today, we are going to talk about sedimentary rocks. By the end of class, you're going to be able to describe the processes by which sediments become sedimentary rock, describe features in sedimentary rocks that help geologists determine the environments in which the rocks are formed, and explain how sediment is formed. So we've already learned about igneous rocks. Today we're going to talk about sedimentary rocks. So let's get rocking. Let's review back, looking in our rear view mirror. Think back to weathering and erosion. Remember that weathering breaks down those rocks. It loosens the surface of those rocks, and then erosion comes. Remember our little tractor? I don't have it around me anymore. Erosion comes and it moves those particles. This is how sedimentary rocks are created. It's rocks made of bits and pieces of other rocks. It's erosion breaking down those rocks and other materials to form the sedimentary rocks. If you were to study a sample of sediment, which of the following would you expect to find? Do you think maybe rock fragments, maybe grains of sand, maybe minerals, maybe shells, skeletons of small creatures, maybe some plant remains? The truth is, you would find all of these things in sediment. This is what creates our sedimentary rocks. Sediments are loose materials such as rock fragments, mineral grains, and bits of shells that have been moved by wind, water, ice, or gravity. Remember those agents? They're back. Sediments come from already existing rocks that are weathered and eroded. Sedimentary rock forms when sediments are pressed and cemented together, or when minerals form from solutions. Let's do a little check here. Sediments come from already existing rock. This is absolutely true. And why is this true? Well, think about weathering and erosion. Weathering is breaking down those rocks, and erosion is, here comes that big old truck, that dump truck or that tractor, moving those bits and pieces. The sediments are coming from already existing rock. Think about a junk drawer. Does anybody have a junk drawer at their house? This is not my junk drawer, but my junk drawer kind of looks similar. Little bits and pieces of things, a tape dispenser, maybe a pair of scissors, maybe some rubber bands or some paper clips and a nail file. This is a junk drawer. It has a little bit of everything, just like sedimentary rocks. They are made of a little bit of everything. Maybe if it rained a lot at your house after real heavy rain, think about what that murky looking water looks like. It has many pieces of gravel, clay sand, sediments. These are sediments, and these sediments slowly form layers which push on top of one another to make new rocks. Take a look at number 5 in your kit. This is sandstone. How cool is this? Because it shows you the layers. This is a sedimentary rock. You can see the sandstone. That is what that rock was made of. Most rocks that we see above ground are sedimentary rocks. They get clues about the rocks from the particle sizes and how they were cemented together. Compaction presses those particles together from the weight of the water that's above, and other sediments pressing down. Think of a trash compactor. They're pressing down on top of one another. Then a chemical change occurs. Once those sediments are pressed down together, they're stuck together. It's cementation. So compaction and cementation are what turn sediment into those sedimentary rocks. You can watch this video showing you the compaction and the sediment and the cementation. I put the link in your class plan. If you look down here at these little sediments on the bottom, that's compaction and cementation, the gluing. They're getting compacted down and then glued together like a trash compactor. Everybody following? True or false? The process by which rocks stick together is called compaction, like the glue sticking together. Think about cement. Anybody ever use that cement glue? Hopefully not, because it's really stinky. But maybe you have. This is cementation. This is false because it is cementation. It is not compaction. You guys are doing great. Here are some samples. I'm going to pause the video so that you can get these samples out. Sample number 5, sample number 10, and sample number 14. Hopefully you were able to get those samples out of your rock kit. These rocks are under high pressure, and that pressure causes the sediments to connect. They're squeezed and cemented together. Sample 5, sandstone, and 10, shale, and 14, conglomerate. Sandstone is made up of small particles of sand that were cemented together, creating that sandstone. And then the conglomerate is a coarse grain rock that was made of rounded pebbles or even small boulders, and shale forms from those tiny particles. They're all connected. They're under high pressure, and that pressure causes these sediments to connect, and you can see how they make those connections. Take a look again at these samples. I'll pause the video so you can grab sample 11 and sample number 18. All right, hopefully you were able to grab number 11, sample number 11, coquina. This is really neat. Also number 18, which is limestone. That limestone was formed from calcium carbonate, which is in seawater and groundwater. And it can change into different rocks and can form in different layers at the bottom of the sea. What do you see in that picture there? Think in your mind, what are some different things that you might see? There might even be some little creatures in here, right? They were cemented and compacted down at the bottom of the sea. You might see some mollusks, some shell clams, some of the clam shells rather, some mussels. Those are from the coquina. Okay, they were all crushed down and cemented together, and everything that was at the bottom of the sea then got smushed in, creating these types of rocks like coquina. Limestone you might see in building. This might be building sediment. You might have heard that they use limestone to build things, different buildings and construction materials, things like that. These are that picture you saw with the different animals and the shells. Those would be fossils. So when plants and animals die, their remains settle to the bottom of a body of water. And they're buried by sediments. It creates those layers. And you might find a fossil like this gorgeous little dragonfly that was then cemented in, and with mud and water gets glued down, creates this really cool looking fossil. Layers in rocks, like our gorgeous Grand Canyon, appear if climate or other conditions change. After one layer of sediment is deposited, the next layer of sediment is deposited and different, creating a new layer of rock and another new layer of rock, like pancakes. You know I love talking about pancakes. The youngest layer, the very first pancake you make, is always where? It's at the bottom of the pile. So you have your oldest pancake, the very first one you made, and then you make your second one, and it looks a little different, might not be the same shape, and then you make your next one, and the very newest, freshest, hottest pancake is always on the top of the stack, where the oldest, that first pancake you made, is going to be at the bottom. This is the same as sedimentary rocks. The oldest is always going to be on the bottom, and the youngest is always going to be at the top. Think of the ogre from the movie Shrek. I love Donkey and Ogre. So do sedimentary rocks, so do sedimentary rocks, Shrek. They make layers. Also, parfaits have layers. Yum. Who remembers this from the movie? Onions have layers. Ogres have layers. You get it? We both have layers. I love that movie. So do sedimentary rocks. They have layers. In those layers, you might see some mud cracks form in sediment that was once muddy and dry. You might see some ripple marks. They're a clue that at one time water may have moved very quickly through the layers of sediment. I'm going to pause the video once again so that you can work on this in your minds. Even if you want to jot the answers down on a piece of paper or jot them down mentally in your mind, see how you did. See how we can summarize what we have learned. How did you do? Weather breaks rock and other substances down into small particles called sediment. Erosion by wind, ice, or water transports the sediment to a new location. Sediment that contains chemicals that are dissolved in water may form a solid that cements into sedimentary rocks, such as limestone. These are called chemical sedimentary rocks. Sediment may also settle into layers in water or on land. If these layers of sediment are compacted together by pressure, they can become clastic sedimentary rocks, such as conglomerate. This is a really fun video. I love heading into the geology kitchen. Again, this link is in your class plan. I'd love for you to watch it. It summarizes exactly what are sedimentary rocks and how they're made. Once you watch those 2 videos and you have watched this entire video, you can go through the slides from class, and then you have a 5-question homework. This is the 210, and we call it quiz, not graded checkpoint, but it is just that. It's a checkpoint that I grade. So log into your science class homepage, click on your class plan, and use that big red link to begin your 5-question homework. I hope you're having a wonderful day, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. We will review sedimentary rocks in the beginning of class before we begin our lesson on metamorphic rocks. Have a wonderful Monday. I will see you all in science tomorrow.